Hello students, I am Renu Matthew, Assistant Professor, MC Department, IISM Pune. In this lecture, let us discuss what is component testing. Component testing is the lowest level of testing. Here, testing is performed on each individual component separately without integrating with other components. It is also referred to as module testing when it is viewed from an architecture perspective. Component testing is also referred to as unit testing and program testing. Generally, any software as a whole is made of several components. Component level testing deals with testing these modules or components individually, and it is usually performed by programmers. It is basically based on the requirements and detailed design specification. Component testing searches for defects in and verifies the functionality of software components like modules, programs, object class, etc. that are separately testable. Based on the depth of testing levels, component testing can be categorized as component testing in small and component testing in large. If component testing is performed in isolation from other components, then it is referred to as component testing in small. Now let us consider an example. Consider a website which has 5 different web pages. Then testing each web page separately and in isolation from other components is referred to as component testing in small. Component testing done without isolation of other components in the software or application under test is referred to as component testing in large. Let us take an example to understand this in a better way. Suppose there is an application which consists of two components, let's say component A and component B. And the developer has developed the component A and now he wants to test it. But in order to completely test the component A, component B should be ready as few of its functionalities are dependent on component B. But the component B has not been yet developed. In that case, to test the component A completely, we can replace the component B by stub, which acts as a dummy object. Now let us consider the reverse case. The developer has developed the component B and wants it tested. But in order to completely test the component B, it needs to be called by the component A and which is not yet developed. In that case, component A will be replaced by a driver. So, a stub is called from the software component to be tested as shown in the diagram, which is called as a stub, and stub is called by the component A here. And a driver calls the component to be tested as shown in the diagram. So, component B is called by the driver. In short, we can say that stubs and drivers are used to replace missing software and simulate the interface between the software components in a simple manner. Component testing includes testing of functionality and specific non-functional characteristics such as resource behavior, for example, memory leak, performance or robustness testing, as well as structural testing. And in component testing, there is access to the code which you are testing. The objectives of component testing are reducing risk of the component, verifying whether the functional and non-functional behavior of the components are as designed and specified, to build confidence in the component's quality, to find defects in the component and preventing defects from escaping to higher test levels. Examples of work products that can be used as a test basis for component testing can be detailed design, the code, it can be the data model, and it can be the component specifications also. The test objects for testing components can be the components, the units or the modules as we call, or it can be the code and the data structures, the classes, and it can be the database modules also. Let us consider an example to understand component testing. Consider two web pages which are interrelated to each other. Web page 1, let it be a login page to an application, say demo.bankapp.com. From a functional point of view, when the user enters valid user ID and password in the text field and click on login button, the web page will be navigating to the home page, let's say to the manager page, which is the web page 2 of demo bank app web application. So here login page is one component and the home page will be the second component. Now testing the functionality of these individual pages separately becomes your component testing. The component test scenarios for web page 1 can be enter invalid user ID and verify if an user-friendly warning pop-up is shown to the end user. It can be enter invalid user ID and password and click on reset and verify if the data entered in the text fields user ID and password are cleared or not. It can be enter the valid username and password and click on login button. Similarly, the component test scenarios for the web page 2, that is for the home page, can be verify if the welcome to manager page of bank message is being displayed on the home page, or it can be verify if all the link on the left side of the web page are clickable, or it can be verify if the manager ID is being displayed in the center of the web home page, or it can be verify the presence of 3 different images on the home page as per what is given in this diagram. Examples of typical defects and failures for component testing can be incorrect functionality, that is functionality is not built as described in the design specification, or it can be a data flow problem, or it can be incorrect code and logic. In software engineering, component testing plays a crucial role in finding the bugs. So before we start with the integration tests, it is always recommended to perform component test in order to ensure that each component of an application is working effectively. With this, we come to the end of this lecture. Thank you.